Lucas Oil on the Edge showcases 3 completely different events in this action-packed episode. We start on the ice, where traction is key as the pit bike riders try to outlast the competition for their main event. Then we go back to the desert for more off-road racing, featuring Class 1 buggies as they challenge the rough terrain and the grueling 400-mile course. Finally, we move to the water for one of the most extreme motorsports in the industry, snowmobile racing on water. Reaching speeds up to 80 miles an hour with snowmobiles on the open water, these are the most exciting races in America. Let the games begin.
Got it tacked up, and if you get too close, you're getting cracked up. Stone cold when I roll, coming out of the hole. Get back, cause I'm out of control. I'm on the edge.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Lucas Oil on the Edge, a packed house here tonight for the Starter Guard Indoor Pit Bike Oval Race on Ice. We're at Hofmann Estates, Illinois, and as you can tell there, the ice is pristine. Ken Stout and Brian Olson ready to call the action.
I'll tell you what, this baby is smooth and race ready for all those fans.
Well, this looks familiar. This is what's known as a pit bike. You know, guys in the bigger racing sanctioning bodies use these little 50cc mini bikes to get around the pits because they're so large. Well, racers, being racers, you know what they do? They tinker. They like to soup things up, and they like to race them. So that's exactly what they're doing now. Only restrictions are you can have only 2 studs on each knob of the tire for the ice, and the wheels have to remain at 12 inches or less. Otherwise, do whatever you want to them, and why not? It's ice. Let's race some 50cc's and see what happens.
And that's exactly right. That is what happens. You know, in the drag race pits, you know, everybody has a golf cart. Next thing you know, somebody's golf cart's going to be a little faster than the next guy's golf cart. Well, not unlike this here as well. The pit bikes, well, they start racing them in the pits pretty soon. Studs in the tires, and we got a class.
And you know, at the drag strip and a lot of other events as well, it's not unusual to see a snowmobile motor on a golf cart these days.
And the 74 of Josh Decker off to a great start. On the other side, the 8 Zach Coons in the back taking it easy, and that's why, because Taylor Sickles, man, he's having a hard time keeping that thing vertical.
He's doing some loops there. That's what he's doing. I got to tell you that one of the machines out front here, it's kind of neat the way things all start out here. You know, here we are in the pit bike races. Josh and Decker, your leader. That's an original Honda Mini Trail, and those things have great value these days, Ken, because they don't make them anymore.
I actually had one when I was growing up, but more importantly, look at the skill of these guys. I mean, they're literally sideways in every turn trying to hang on to them. You really have to have some great balance. How about a little bar-to-bar action right there?
Yeah, he gave him a shoulder there and said, hey, it's time for me to go around. If they go wheel to wheel, if they go wheel to wheel, man, and somebody's liable to go overboard.
I don't know that Coons has a whole lot of stuff in those tires, a lot of air out of those tires. Maybe that's the difference, but he's really struggling with that trail bike, and just that quickly it can all go wrong. Taylor's really fighting it, man.
Yeah, he has fought it all since the first drop of the green flag there. Final lap, 1 to go! Oh, man!
The 76 of Greg Rubenacker, and he just turned into the back wheel of the leader there, Josh Decker, and it cost him big.
How about that? A big old wheel stand at the end, and then Decker struggles to get back on, but he gets the job done. Hey, that's the way it all got started. I mean, you start out with these pit bikes, you know, now we're into full-bore ice racing, man.
And your starter guard heat race results has Josh Decker out front, followed by Huffman and Rubenacker. All right, now this is the main event. Of course, that heat race determines the starting position here for the main event. And Josh Decker is on the pole.
And he's going to take that inside line by choice. Now your second place bike ends up clearing the outside. Now there's your man that ended up falling down about 3 times right there in the middle of the pack. But the shortest way around this surface is the inside groove. And your heat race winner has chosen to be there. Number 8 having trouble. There, he's got to refire now. Missing 1 scooter yet. And here he comes.
Revving them up, keeping them cleaned out. Actually, a very, very talented group here just to keep these things upright. Oh, hold on to it. Oh,
You can't red light here.
it almost cost him. They go, foot peg to foot peg. And I'll tell you, man, Josh Decker playing hardball. He wanted that lead bad.
Man, he did. That thing was just about to jump that line right there. And if you do, of course, that's a DQ, and it'll put you in a different spot. But again, he wanted that inside line. He won the heat race, and as a result, had his choice, and he's out front.
331, Stephen Hofmann in second place. He got a good start there, had to lead briefly before Josh Decker just drove it right in underneath him.
Pretty much all little 50 cc's. If you take a look at the differences in the frames, you can see some that are just a little bit bigger, some of the height of the tires, and some of the tires are a bit more narrow. To me, I would think a narrower tire would be disadvantageous here. I think you'd want the little bit more wider tire for the grip, particularly when you're running low on air and you only get two studs per spot on there.
Yep, I agree with you 100%, and you can see the rear tire on that one nice and wide as he's letting a lot of air out of that one, trying to get some grip and doing a good job with it. We saw him doing wheel stands at the end of the heat race as the white flag comes out. Needless to say, he's very comfortable on this thing on the ice.
Yeah, watch that thing as it goes in the corner. Keep your eye just on the rear tire there for Deckard, and you can see right about now how much air is actually out of that tire. See if he does another wheelie. Hell, a little one. Little blooper there. Decker, you're champion. Here's the battle for second.
And Huffman looking back at him. Those guys, and he's down. Those guys are having a blast. Huffman and Rubenaker, and Huffman hangs on for second place. Let's talk to our winner.
All right, Josh, you know, these pit bikes, we know that they were just for recreation a couple of years ago and just actually for purpose to get people around the tracks. Now you guys soup them up, you make racers out of them. I know it's just a ton of fun. It's got to feel awesome to win.
Oh yeah, it feels great. Feels great.
What have you done to this thing to soup it up?
I got different forks, different tires, shocks, different motor.
All on a 50cc mini bike.
Yeah.
You have way too much time on your hands.
That is a lot of changes. Well, we're going to take it from the ice out to the desert, then to the lake. On the Edge is brought to you by Lucas Oil Products, made in America, sold to the world. General Tire, unleash the fury. And by Starter Guard, never jumpstart your battery again.
Vegas, baby. We're hitting the unforgiving Nevada desert for Class 1 buggy racing at the Mint 400. The dirt's going to be flying and the copters are going to be chasing these buggies all day long. Will TJ Flores become a two-time champion? Let's find out now.
Thanks a lot, Angela. This is the General Tire Mint 400 just outside of Las Vegas. And when Angela says buggy, we're not talking about your average dune buggies. We take a look at Brian Canine. These are Class 1 buggies making in excess of 700 to 800 horsepower. A lot of wheel travel, over 20 inches of wheel travel. As you can watch that one go to work there. These guys can travel over washes over 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, you're taking a look at Rick Rollins' car. Now listen, car, buggy, whatever you want to call them, listen to the amount of power on these things. Small block Chevrolets in most cases. You can have a Dodge, you can have a Ford, V8, whatever. But basically, for all intents and purposes, single carbureted, gasoline-powered machines, and as Ken said, as much as 800 horsepower on board.
You can see the guys struggling right there with the glare of the sun, his hand up there, trying to create a makeshift visor, if you will, as we watch a number of our competitors run out through here. The key, of course, is to take a look at that. You can see a spare on the back. These things weighing around 6,000 pounds or so, but they carry a lot of equipment with them in case they break down out in the desert. Another thing they really have to watch, it's all about shock management. As these things are going up and down, they create a lot of heat inside of those shocks, and of course that oil will break down if you get them too hot.
Yeah, that's one thing. And the weak link, as you well know, Ken, is the tires. You know, it's probably the most common thing that goes bad on any of these Mint 400 machines here in this General Tire Mint 400. The tires are the biggest thing. The shocks, I'd say, would be secondary. But the two things you can change out on the track and not lose a lot of time are the shocks or the tires. However, if you have motor problems, pretty well out of the event.
Danny Anderson out there there just shredding it, man, making it happen as we take a look at Corey. Corey in a very tough section of this course.
That indeed it is, Kenna. You watch that truck, car, whatever you want to call it, buggy, that thing has got all kinds of bouncing going on. Not only is it abusive to the car, or buggy most will call, but that body takes a lot of the same abuse as well. It's tough on the drivers and co-drivers here.
And of course the conditions as well, with all the dust, the dirt that these guys are inhaling. You can see the co-driver over there. The co-driver basically a navigator. Of course the driver knows where he's going, but he's able to watch all the waypoints. They come out here, they pre-run, and they set waypoints on the GPS to find out where the holes are and the big washouts.
I'm here in the Coyotes Racing Pits with Kevin Hanna. We're speaking about the Class 1 Unlimited Buggy, and your driver, John Shu, has gone from 13th to 2nd place. Now, you had a bit of a disadvantage because the buggy's wider, it's also a single-seater, and you had some problems at the beginning of the week. What did you personally do along with the pit to get the car ready?
The motor blew. During this week, they had to pretty much take the motor out, tear the whole car apart, rebuild the motor. They put a new motor in, got it running Wednesday night, about 2 in the morning. Loaded the car on the trailer Thursday, took it to Barstow, did a little testing, drove out here the next day. The driver came out here with not knowing the course at all and just drove it.
Looks like you guys are doing a good job, and we know we've got about 2 minutes to go and a lap and a half, so I think he's going to be pulling in any second.
Yeah, I hope so. That means we'll be cutting more time off.
And a lap and a half is a little more than that sounds. Keep in mind, 1 lap out here is 100 miles. They make 4 laps, consequently the men 400.
And as a result, Ken, those laps average about 2 hours apiece. It's a tough way to go.
Welcome back to Lucas Oil on the Edge. Coverage from the General Tire Mint 400 just outside of Las Vegas. This is the Class 1 Buggies. TJ Flores is the defending champion. TJ is leading the pack here with 1 lap left to go. And Chuck's out there trying to track him back down. A number of competitors out here making a run at it here today. And Steve Raskin in 2nd place.
And we saw earlier on in the show where we saw both the driver and the co-driver talk about all the elements that is the Mint 400. That sunlight is part of the reason you need that co-driver, but we actually saw earlier, Ken, where the driver and co-driver were having to shade their actual sun visors, the visors on their helmets, and they were slowing the vehicle down because they couldn't see anything, man.
You can see hand signals there to that co-driver. Richard Boyle out here. Once again, all these class buggies, extremely expensive machines, purpose-built for the desert. Plenty of room to carry spares. Look at that, man. I guarantee you that is a 90 to 110 mile an hour charge across the desert. If you saw how rough that terrain is, like that right there, it will take the best out of everything.
Man, your lower back, all your lower extremities, well, really every part of your body, because you got to have your hands on the steering wheel. They're connecting all the nerves in your arms. I mean, when you get done, these guys are physically fit. If you're not, this is the wrong race to be in here.
Let's listen. And those guys just about to pull back into the pits. And they'll check out these machines. After every lap they pull in, obviously they need to refuel, and they set up fuel stops here in the middle of the desert. But they go around these buggies and cars and trucks as quickly as possible to get them back out there.
4 different sessions, 4 different complete laps, 100 miles of laps. The fastest cars, the fastest buggies can do it in just a little over 2 hours. Some of the slower units will finish in 13, 14 hours overall.
A good look at TJ Flores there, your leader. First lap, 2 hours, 17 minutes. 2 hours, 18 minutes for the second lap. Then he got after it pretty hard in 2 hours and 5 minutes.
And that is quick for 100 miles. It'd be different if you were driving on straight gravel roads or if you were on pavement. But I mean, this is the toughest terrain in the world, bar none. And I mean, from hills to, as you said, the valleys. What do you call the riverbeds?
Those big washouts, yeah.
Washouts, man.
And you can see that foot section there as well, just really working the shocks. I mean, look at those things. Really getting a workout right there. Brian Conine making some dust, baby.
And the dust is about to be wrapped up for our champion, Ken.
TJ Flores pulls it through the pits back to the start-finish line, and he is your 2-time General Tire Mint 400 champ.
that LVDC Motorsports team. Racking up first place, Steve Raskin and Rick Romans, your top 3 overall.
Congratulations, TJ. Back-to-back wins on the Mint 400. What's going through your mind right now?
I don't know. I'm pretty speechless. Yesterday we hurt our motor, so we spent all night changing it over until about 1 in the morning, and then didn't get to drive it, nothing. So, I mean, had 2 hours sleep and come here to go race.
That's tough terrain, and it's a long course on 2 hours of sleep. How do you cope behind the wheel for that many hours?
Pace yourself, have good equipment under you. So if you want to go hard, it's there.
Well, TJ's work is done, but ours is not. When we come back, Snowmobiles on the water.
It's time to shake things up and cool off with some snowmobile drag racing on water. The 600 class features some of the best riders in the country, and the competition will be intense. Each rider will have to make it through multiple rounds if they want a chance to win. Endurance, luck, and skill will come into play.
Thank you very much, Angela, and she did. She called it right there, man. Snowmobile drags on water. If you have not seen this before, it is incredible. And that's what this show is all about, to bring some of this really cool forms of motorsports to television and let everybody see what they're doing here. These things are hooked up, and they rock and roll.
Look at that wheels up action. You gotta put those things in the water. You gotta get the back end to stick. And I'm gonna tell you right there, Ryan Keith did exactly that. From the start line to the finish line, and you saw the body English, Ken. Well, watch again in replay. Right there from that center spot, the second starting spot, just hanging on, man, with those front skis in the air, moves around. Look at his body. Watch the sled. You gotta keep it between those cones, and he makes it look real easy here.
Yeah, he was roosted, both guys, on board with Laura Henderson, and Laura got off to a very slow start, finally got that thing up on the track as she charged across. By the way, each group here has 2 people advancing. You'll see a little green box next to their names. That means that they have advanced into the semifinals as we are in the quarterfinal rounds.
Just the same format as drag racing, only in this case, a couple of them move from each heat race. Watch lane number 1, the primer machine there of Man Norden. Look at that thing. He's always able to carry that front end from the start line to the finish line. That is another picture-perfect run, and he'll move to the semifinals as a result.
Yeah, man was a class of the field, but watch the middle lane. That is Ignis, and Ignis in a pretty tight battle there with Bobby Joe O'Brien for the second transfer position to try to get into the semifinals. Really fighting that thing, trying to keep it in the lane, and says, well, maybe I'll try this lane out, and then he says, well, maybe I'll try the next lane out. So they don't steer quite as easy as you think.
Meanwhile, Norden made it look real easy. Once again, 3 wide, lanes 1, 2, and 3 here.
Great start for all 3 of them, still in the quarterfinals. Good battle for first and second, but Bradley Maslow in the back will be done here. Rachel Warwick across the stripe first, and Sean Cummings.
Watch it again in replay. Again, those machines that keep the skis in the air. Look at lanes 1 and 2. Perfect, picture-perfect runs. With that belt locked solidly to the water, skis up in the air, body English guiding that thing, and I mean to tell you, it don't get very much better than that. As long as you finish with that machine between those cones, you'll advance to the next round.
When we come back, we'll continue on and get them down to the final round. On the Edge has been brought to you by Lucas Oil Products, made in America, sold to the world. General Tire, unleash the fury. And by Herculiner Truck Bed Liners, when the tough come easy. We're back here at Memory Lake, Grantsburg, Wisconsin. Lucas Oil on the Edge and snowmobile drags on water. Time for the semifinals.
Vorwerk, Ingus, and Schlan scheduled to run. Looks to me like only 2 are going to show up. Inglis's machine, apparently with some sort of mechanical problems, unable to answer the call here for the semifinals.
Oh yeah, baby. Driving, hold on to it. Woo! Going for a ride over there. And because the third competitor did not show up, both will advance as they take the 2 quickest and advance them to the next round.
Great start right there for Rachel, nearest the camera. Mike on the far side, though, his machine a little bit more violent, tries to use some body English, and momentarily has to settle that thing down and try to get it between the cones. And as a result, Rachel makes it look easy. Mike gets it through the cones, and he'll finish second, and they'll both go to the final round.
Yeah, if they ever come up with a slalom course, I'm saying Mike's the man.
He'll be the guy.
All right, the other half of the semifinals will fill out the final round here. And how about that in the middle lane with the skis in the water the entire time, a whole different approach gets to win.
Man, I gotta tell you that Man Norden, watch the machine in the middle, then look at the machines on both sides with the skis out of the water. Generally, that's the way you win rounds. But Man Norden is looking back on both lanes to make sure he's gonna be first to the stripe, and definitely made it look easy, as you said, Ken, with the skis in the water.
All right, final round. Here we go. Borwick, Clan, Keith, and Norden all ready to do battle. One race, winner takes all.
Yeah, that's for him. And you got to say, you know, the track looks great. I say track. The water looks nice and smooth. It's a pick 'em race here.
Extended bars on them so they can stand up and control them. And a great battle right there to the finish line. Ryan Keith is going to steal it.
Man, that was a great race. Watch it again in replay. As they look over toward the starter, everybody's got to look to the left. Now watch the skis again. In lane number 2, a little bit too violent, but again, you watch those machines to make the smooth runs. That's pretty much lane 1 and lane number 3. And your champion is going to be lane 3, Ryan Keith. As he looks over from side to side, Rachel Borwick will take second place in a great final race.
Congratulations, man. It was a tight race. You knew you had it at the end there, but they were still checking it.
Yeah, I mean, I looked across and I seen Rachel. She was just behind me. It was pretty good. Everybody ran good this weekend. We came out yesterday. We went undefeated. So we're here at Grantsburg. We took number 1. World champ, baby.
Woo! For Ken Stout, Brian Olson, and Ted Brunson, I'm Angela Jenkins. We hope you enjoyed this show as much as we did. Log on to speedtv.com and link over to newwavetv.com for a list of upcoming On the Edge shows. Remember, you're not living unless you're on the edge.